You Orns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for another edition of the You Orns Friday Focus on Watford versus Southampton. That game takes place at the Vic this Saturday. That would be tomorrow, August the 30th, 2025. And Watford look to continue their unbeaten run in the championship in these nascent stages of the competition. This is match day 4. Watford will be looking to make it 2 wins from 2 at home in the championship when they take on the Southampton side, of course, who were newly relegated from the Premier League at the end of last season. They finished rock bottom, and Southampton are without a win this season, I think, in the championship. Not 100% sure, but I think, no, maybe they do have one win, at least one win. Let me correct myself. I think they beat Wrexham late on in a game, the first game of the championship season. So I do stand corrected there. But Southampton come into Vicarage Road. And the only reason why I think this game might be a test for Watford is because Watford have had such a difficult time with Southampton, particularly at Vicarage Road in recent seasons. It has been a long time, and I'm not sure about last season's result. Well, they didn't play each other last season, did they? But Watford have not beaten Southampton for a long time at Vicarage Road. I really cannot remember the last time they did that. I don't know, maybe they did beat them the season before last at the Vic. No, I don't think so. I really do not think so. I'm not sure. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But in any case, Watford had a really torrid time at the Vic with Southampton, who always seem to find a way to get 3 points at the Vic or get a point from the Vic. In fact, there was a game, famously a few years ago, in the Premier League at the Vic, where Watford got a late goal, handball style, from Abdoulaye Doucouré. Do you remember that one? Referee didn't see it, VAR didn't see it. We got a 2-2 draw. And remember the game as well. The fastest goal in Premier League history still stands. And it was scored against us within 7 seconds. Shane Long. No one has beaten that record in the Premier League since then. Watford got a 1-1 draw out of it thanks to Andre Gray's late goal. This was several years ago. This is when Rocket Man was the anthem. Maybe instead of Z Cars, remember that? Or was it I'm Still Standing, which still can be heard at the Vic. But the bottom line is here, as I get through this Friday focus, is Southampton pose a challenge because of the record, not because they're newly relegated from the Premier League. I don't look at this game tomorrow as that kind of test. The test I look at is, can Watford end this dreaded run, this dreaded winless run against Southampton at the Vic? That's the test. Can Watford meet that test? But look, these players that we have are not just thinking about that. They're thinking about the game itself. They're not looking at the last 10 games of the Vic against Southampton. They're looking at the game tomorrow against Southampton. And actually, that's really what my focus is going to be right now. Because I honestly think that Watford are going to beat Southampton tomorrow. Southampton are a formidable team. They've still got some of their Premier League players in that squad. Watford have just picked up a new midfielder, Mendy, from Leicester. Absolutely really solid acquisition. I'm very pleased with what the board and what Gino's done with that acquisition. That's the 11th new person, the 11th new lad to come into the Vic for the Watford men's first team. And we still aren't done yet. There's still plans to sign a centre-back and maybe even a right-back. Who knows? But look, you can have no complaints whatsoever about this transfer window that Gino's put together. No complaints at all. Even the most devout hater or disliker, shall we say, of Gino Pozzo has to be happy with this window. I don't care who you are, you know? But the bottom line is that Mendy is going to be a very good midfield presence for Watford. He's aggressive, he's physical, he's smart, he knows the game inside and out. He knows when to drop back, he knows when to go forward. He is a really good midfielder, and he's going to make a lot of difference as a veteran player for Watford in that middle of the park. He provides a lot of rock-solid stability and aggressiveness, which is what we need in that midfield. And he's somebody who reminds me, and who will remind you when you get to see him, of Carlos Hernandez. Do you remember Carlos Hernandez? I believe that's his name, who was at the Vic for that rental period, if you will, in 2021, when he was with us for about 3 or 4 months. And look at the job he did. I think he came in January of 2021. Look what the job he did. He helped bring us promotion that year, remember? And he had to leave and he left at the end of the season. Really good player. Carlos Hernandez, I think his name was. And the fans loved him. And I think they're going to take to Mendy the same way. Mendy is in that kind of mold of player, a veteran, just like Carlos Hernandez was, who just lets the game and lets his game do the talking. And I am very excited to see what he will bring to Watford. He really will add not only solidity, but a lot more credibility to our midfield because over the years, I have really been concerned about the midfield. It's not been at its best, and it hasn't always had the best personnel. And we've missed that kind of ruggedness in the middle of the park, the kind of ruggedness that players like Valon Barami brought you, the kind of ruggedness that players like Etienne Capoue brought you. That's another name that I've neglected to mention over several weeks and months, but he really was a brilliant midfielder for us. He really did all the dirty work, did all the physical tackles and challenges, just like Barami did as well. Capoue was a really great asset for Watford, did a tremendous job here. And Abdoulaye Doucouré, box to box midfielder, who also put in a tackle or two as well and was not afraid to get mixed in the thick of things. And so these kinds of players we need. And I have expressed concerns about the physicality of our squad overall. Well, I'll tell you this, Mendy adds some physicality and some heft and some experience and some know-how. And I think that he's going to be very, very instrumental. And I really love that signing. Might be the best sign, one of the best signings of all might be Mendy. And there's some really good signings, but this one might absolutely be one of the real sleeper hits for Gino and the board as far as that's concerned. Now, Southampton are going to come at us. They know that they've got a target on their back. We're going to have to do the same things that we did against Queen's Park Rangers and we did against Swansea in the opening half. We have to, if we are going to beat Southampton tomorrow, we are going to have to come out with the same intensity and the same belief and desire and the same spirit and energy that we did against Swansea last week and against Queen's Park Rangers the week before that. I mean, that's 100% what we have to do. And I think if we do that tomorrow, I think we're going to fare very well. I do think that the string of defeats, the string of draws at home against Southampton, I think will finally come to an end tomorrow. When I think Watford will defeat Southampton by a score of 2-1. That's my prediction. We will see if I'm correct. I hope I am. This is the first time this season that I have predicted a win for Watford. It is now match day 4. Let's see if I'm correct. But really, what you want to see from the Golden Boys tomorrow, beyond getting a prediction correct, is for them to play the same way that they did against QPR and Swansea. Start the same way and know how to suffer in these games. Watford have established that they do know how to suffer. They did that very well against Queen's Park Rangers. They were doing that so very well on the road against Swansea until the 82nd minute. And they haven't played terribly in all these games. Even the Charlton game, even though they didn't really do much in the Charlton game, they didn't play horribly against Charlton. So at least in terms of the way that the lads are playing, there is a trajectory that you can begin to see the progress in. And I really am pleased so far with what the blueprint is. Of course, the players still have to get up to speed, still have to show you the full match conditioning, which I think will come, certainly after the international break happens, because this is the last game before the international break. So Watford will want to go into the international break with a win. That is critical. Of course, the transfer market shuts on Monday, the 1st of September. And of course, all eyes on the deadline day. And for me, if Watford do no more business since they got Mendy, if they do no more business between now and Monday, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I know there's some Watford fans in a poll I put up on X who were really not happy with the idea that Watford might not do any more transfer business, that they would be profoundly disappointed with that. But anyway, we'll see what Watford do tomorrow. The Golden Boys looking to consolidate what they did against Swansea and what they did against QPR. Let's go and let's see. And let's show Southampton how this is done. We need to be aggressive and we need to come out without any respect to Southampton. We cannot come out there respecting this opponent. We have to take all of this game and make sure that we execute well, close out the halves better. We've had a whole lot of trouble this season, as in previous seasons, closing halves. Let's close the half out without conceding. That goes for both halves. Let's make that happen. Can we keep a clean sheet against Southampton? I think that might be a tall order. But the defense has not been bad this season, even though there've been mistakes made. The team-wide defending, I think, has been very good. And look, the sky's the limit. It's early doors, but this would be a big statement if we can get past Southampton. And I think we will. I think we will. Both in the championship now. You've got to forget last season. Forget their relegation. They now are the hunted. And I think if Watford are to start hunting and bag a prize, tomorrow might just be it. This has been the You Orns Friday Focus.